Welcome down, people. It's the top fives, as we like to do. 4-2 up top is myself, Gav Mack, Alex Osborn, and Stephen Buck. How are you, gents?
I'm very well, thanks, buddy. You?
I'm all right. Ducking and diving, making dreams work, making dreams happen. You know what it's like.
Anyway.
This week, we're doing the top 5 biggest wastes of money in football. So it could be anything that is a waste of money in football. And I think we're going to crack on with Alex. Go on in. You go first.
Cool. So my number 5, let's get straight into it. Seth Johnson, his wages at Leeds.
Oh.
And it is rumoured, and I'll say that when he went into the contract negotiations, he was looking to get only £10,000 a week. That's what he and his agent were hoping for. And the opening offer from Peter Ridsdale at the time was at 30 grand a week.
It's like 3 times the amount.
3 times the amount. It goes to show the financial mismanagement that Leeds suffered at the time under Peter Ridsdale, and as I think we all can see, they haven't quite fully recovered from that yet. Still, 18, 17 years later after the fact. So
good business acumen, though, isn't it?
Well, for him.
Seth Johnson, he did. He came out of it very well, but less said about Leeds the better. But also keeping up with our one Leeds reference per show.
One Leeds show. Who's your number 4?
My number 4 is the cost of a season ticket at the Arsenal.
Oh God, yeah.
So, right. Regular viewers of the show will know that me and Gav are Arsenal fans. Bucky is a Spurs fan, but also a closet Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
But despite that, the cost of a season ticket at Arsenal, and there are a few other clubs as well included in this. Clubs can't justify the amount that they're charging their fans to come and watch their team play football.
No,
I think the cheapest at Arsenal was literally £1,000 or just shy of £1,000. The most expensive one is just shy of £2,000, and that is, no matter who you support, it's a waste of money as far as I'm concerned.
To give you some context for that, Spurs are also charging a very similar amount of money for their season tickets, but as part of the new stadium deal, season ticket holders had to commit to paying that money for 3 seasons on the bounce.
Oh yeah, well, I've got £6,000 in my pocket, haven't I? Well, there you go, bosh.
Oh, and it had to be paid near enough all up front. So
yeah,
clubs are certainly finding ways of making plenty of money off the fans and perhaps use them as cash cows rather than really focusing on what it is that they're there for in the first place.
It's a joke because at Bayern, you can actually pick up a season ticket for as cheap as €95. A season ticket. 17 guaranteed 17 games. €95.
Exactly. And that's the point. You can't even get one ticket at Spurs for that amount of money if you want it to be in the good stands in a decent view.
It's embarrassing.
Sad.
Hey, Dog, who's your number 3?
Number 3 is the transfer fee paid by Real, as they say it, to, I can't remember what club he was playing for at the time, but for the services of Denilson back in the late 80s, and it ended up being a world record transfer fee. It's a bit of a strange one when you look at all the world record transfer fees down the time. You see like legends of the game, and then you see Denilson sort of stuck in there. He
was meant to be the next big thing, though, weren't he, Denilson?
He was. I think it was mainly because he did a few stepovers in a World Cup once, and Real Bet's like, oh yeah, we'll give you all this money. And then it turned out that A, he wasn't actually very good anyway, and B, he kind of missed Brazil. He was a bit homesick, and that was just a huge loss of money. And Real Betis, again, you could kind of say they've never really recovered from that either. So
they weren't really anywhere before, really, were they?
Yeah.
That would be my number 3. That was a waste for me. Number 2.
Yeah.
The wages of Mesut Ozil.
God.
When he re-signed his contract in 2017, I think
17,
it was.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Where for some unknown reason, Arsenal decided to give him a contract worth 350 grand a week basic.
No, good value.
I still feel to this day that is the biggest problem at Arsenal, because he is not providing performance. Even under improvements under Mikel Arteta, he's still not giving you 350 grand weeks per 350 grand a week worth performance, if that makes sense.
I don't even think he's given us 350 grand's worth a year of performances, if
So-
I'm honest, and that's me being nice.
And as you know, with wages like that, and you tie them into the club, you have to budget for that for the rest of the contract. And you keep hearing his agent come out saying, "Oh, Mesut Ozil's not going to go anywhere. He's loyal to."
He's happy.
Yeah, of course he's not going to go anywhere.
He's loyal to 350 grand a week, mate. That's what he's loyal to. So it's again, Arsenal negotiated against themselves. They backed themselves into a corner, thinking that we've got to keep this player, and then somehow they ended up coming up with 350 grand. Fortunately, those people who were responsible for that contract are no longer part of the club, but I'm still not confident in those that are at the club still.
Let's ship him off to AC. Who's your number one?
Yeah. Yeah. And then finally, my number one is the cost of how much it cost the FA to build Wembley Stadium.
Oh, yeah. That is beautiful. Beautiful.
Now, again, Wembley Stadium was a brilliant stadium.
Lovely ground.
You know, England have always, here in England, we've always had this tradition of having a showpiece stadium. And Wembley's been around since, what, 1920s? Or the old one was. And then, you know, this one has been around since, what, late 2000s. But the amount of money it cost the FA to build Wembley Stadium should have been reinvested into actual growth of the game, and taken we talk about Germany quite a lot now, but we should have taken the Germany route, because what Germany had done, they reinvested all the money that they had into their grassroots, and what did it bore? It bore them a World Cup and repeated like finals, semi-finals of European competitions, and produced German talent after German talent after German talent. And yeah, you could say now the England team is pretty good, but imagine what it could have been with all that amount of money that they spent on league together.
100%. 100%.
The amount of the players that were coming through now, they would have been coming through years ago, and England would be sort of definitely a successful nation. But you know, they decided to go with a soulless corporate stadium instead.
Sounds like West Ham. Right, my top five. My top five. Number 5, I'll go with Robinho. Robinho was meant to be right, because like you went with Denilson, and it's a very similar thing with Robinho. Robinho was the first proper big money signing when the money and the riches came through at Man City, and he'd done well right in a Brazilian shirt or whatever, but he weren't great. And they spent like 35 million pound, which doesn't sound like a lot of money in nowadays football, but in 2007 that's
it was money.
Top end world class player, isn't it? 2007, 2008 sort of time. So yeah, is my number 5. Number 4, I've gone with the Premier League International Cup. I hate friendly matches. And
just get straight to the point there. Yeah.
I hate friendly matches, and what I hate the most is Premier League. Back in the day when we were kids and stuff, right? We used to be able to, you know, in a friendly match, your big clubs would play against more localized teams. You'd be able to go and see them, all that sort of stuff, and it's nice. And a couple of first team players would be knocking around. They don't do that anymore. And when you are doing that, it is a bunch of 17, 18-year-olds wearing the shirt of the club that you support, which is great because it's looking at the new talent. But how many of those are really going to make it? Let's be honest, hardly any of them. And what they do, the one that wound me up the most, wasn't even involving my club. It was Liverpool versus Man United. They played it in a USA college football ground. Yeah, that's great. It invited like over 120,000 fans. But why are two Premier League clubs playing against each other in a friendly match? biggest waste of money. Had enough.
Because they're trying to get the money from the foreign fans, aren't they, of those clubs?
That's the biggest waste of money ever. Do you know what I mean? What about all the injuries and stuff? I'll tell you what. Another one was. It weren't even. It was Chelsea when Chelsea played a friendly match just before the Europa League final last year, and Loftus-Cheek got injured, and he ain't played a game since. Waste of money, waste of time. Not having it. Number 3. The 2014 World Cup in Brazil. That's what I've gone for number 3. Why I think it's a waste of money is because they spent a lot of money on infrastructure, a lot of money on travel, a lot of money on like building up the areas in and around the grounds. A bit like with the Olympics in in Beijing. After the tournament, are any of those grounds being used apart from the Maracanã? No. And it's all just wasteland around it. That is one of the biggest wastes of money of all time, I think, and I don't think they did right by their country either. But that's a political issue, and this is a football show. Number 2 is Pepe. Pepe for Arsenal. Is it? You right there, Alex?
Yeah, I'm not buying.
He's still having nightmares.
Pepe for Arsenal. Pepe cost £72 million. He's a 24-year-old. He's going to be 20. It might even be 25 now. If you are a French footballer playing in the French league, not even a French footballer, if you're a footballer playing in the French league and you haven't been snapped up by a big club by the age of 22, 23, you ain't going to make it. I bet Ren were rubbing their hands, not Ren, Leo, rubbing their hands when they saw that bid come in. And they were like, excuse me, how much? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You know, there was no negotiation in that deal. No way. They saw the deal and they were like, yeah, all over it. Pepe, he may come good. I have a feeling that he's not going to. And if he does come good, we'll watch this back. You can all laugh at me. But in the meantime, I will laugh at everybody because I am right. And number 1, do you remember ITV Digital?
No.
Well, there you go. And that is the reason why ITV Digital is number 1. Sky, they run sport. We know that in this country. They're absolutely smashing it. There's always been someone to try and rival what Sky are doing, and ITV Digital did that. Well, attempted to do that. They actually put 12 clubs in the Football League into administration with their mismanagement and their false promises and their speech of how much money we've got, we're going to do this, we're going to sort the game out, and they didn't. And a lot of clubs believed in what they were going to do. All 72 clubs in the Football League, and they went to pot. And as I said, put 12 clubs into administration. One of those clubs was actually Wrexham, and Wrexham were the first team to receive a 10-point deduction due to going into administration, and that was about 18 or 19 years ago. So yeah, that is my number 1, and I think it's very warranted. Buck.
Okay, my number 5 was the Venky's takeover of Blackburn and £40 million. And it's not even the money; it is the approach of what they wasted. So they come on board, they know nothing about football in the Premier League. They sack the board, they get rid of Sam Allardyce, who's a decent Premier League manager.
Yeah.
They replace him with an inexperienced Steve Keane, sold Phil Jones, that was probably their main asset, and then they get relegated.
Yeah.
Shocking. So what a waste of £40 million.
Covered from it, yeah.
No, shocking.
No, they had to recover as well. You're right. Very very similar to the Leeds situation. Oh, 2 comments on Leeds. Who's your number 4, Buck?
Number 4 was the £30 million paid in 2006 to, I think it was Milan, for Andrei Shevchenko.
I expect so much of him.
48 games. He was so bad, he got loaned back to Milan. He scored nothing in 18 games.
Oh, Lord.
The end of him.
I felt for him a lot, you know, because I remember his relationship with Sergei Rebrov in the late 90s at Dynamo Kiev.
Yeah, it was naughty.
You know, Rebrov, you signed Rebrov, didn't you? He did really well at Spurs. And then
It was rubbish.
and then and then Shevchenko went to Italy and smashed it up there, and I thought he was actually going to be a really good striker over here, but no, yeah, you're right, didn't quite make it. Who's your number 3?
Number 3 is the Spurs bail money, or more specifically, how it was spent.
Oh, I've got some figures up here actually. I can see a couple of the players. One of the players I don't actually recognise one. Oh, that's Chadley, isn't it? So you got Paulinho, Ericsson, Soldado, Chadley, Capu,
and then Lamella.
Oh, and Chirichez. Vlad Chirichez is in there as well.
Vlad Chirichez, yeah.
8.5 million.
So, to be fair on Daniel Levy, he did recoup most of the money from selling most of those players on when he realised that he bought toilet. What a waste of money. You had a world record transfer fee and you blew it.
It sounds very Spursy, that, doesn't it?
It does sound very Spursy.
Poor buggers. Who's your number 2?
Number 2, VAR.
With you.
What a waste of money.
With you.
What a horrendous waste of money. Defenders can't defend anymore because they're not allowed to touch anyone in case people suddenly drop on the floor or VAR pulls them up. VAR even need a VAR for VAR. It's got that. It's shocking.
I agree. You're a bit of an advocate of VAR, aren't you, Alex?
I think the idea is okay. It's the people who've been employed to use it. If you know what I mean, the VAR crew.
I don't think it's used very well at all in the Premier League. It's used okay in Germany, but I'm not a big fan of VAR. I never have been, and it's going to take a long time for me to be a fan.
So yeah, VAR. And my number 1 is the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Oh, I'm surprised by that.
I am. And I'll tell you why. It's not because it's not a cracking stadium. As an entertainment venue, it is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
As a football stadium, it is also amazing. As a spend of money, it's a shambles.
Right. I understand that.
A stadium that was £1 billion, that was double the original estimate, that was late, and that ultimately has still got a team that is looking like it's going to finish 8th or 9th at the minute. That team is not worthy of that stadium as it currently stands, and I cannot see any investment going into it. So for that reason, it is a horrendous waste of money.
I think over time it will be a shrewd investment. What winds me up, and at the same time I find really funny, is that you did everything you could just to make sure you had 500 seats more than Arsenal, and it's such a petty. That's where Spurs are. It's like, as long as we could do something a little bit better than Arsenal, then we've succeeded. And I think that's where the issue is.
It's all right. We've got a golden clock on the roof, so it's fine.
Very true. Right, have you guys if you've got an idea for the show, is there anything in the top 5s that you would like to see, especially in this waste of money? What would you like to see in this top 5? And if you've got any ideas for the future, by all means, pop us a message, send us a direct message on Twitter, or or just at us. All the links did come up on the bottom of the screen a couple of moments ago. In the meantime, thank you, everybody.